I had anger problems and stuff. So things would happen, and I would get angry and lash out by like hitting a wall or something, or yell and scream. And I wound up curbing that, but I know there was like a couple times like I had just lost my mind.
One thing about Eric is when he puts his mind to trying to make a change, he will make the change. Once he gets past the I'm trying stage and he's really going to, he does it. And he definitely made a commitment, made it very clear that he was going to change that. And he immediately took all the actions to change that.
Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
Welcome back to another episode of Couples Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean, and this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Please check us out online on our Facebook page and Instagram at Couples Synergy, or our website, couplessynergy.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couples Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform their relationships for over 20 years.
You know, every day we get to hear intimate details about a couple's celebrations, disappointments, and everyday challenges. We've often wished these stories were shared because we know we are more similar than different. And so we've created not only an avenue where you can hear about people's intimate lives, but an atmosphere where people come over to our home pub, pour a drink, and share their stories.
People like today's guests, Eric and Tina, thank you so much for being on our podcast today, guys.
Hey, thanks for inviting us.
Yes, and this is a treat for us too because, during COVID and lockdown and all of that stuff, we've had to do a lot more virtual interviews, and we are fortunate to be able to do.
We're finally sitting at the pub again.
Yes, an in-person interview,
Yeah.
which we prefer. We
Absolutely.
we love it. The intimacy of the pub and being able to really just kind of kick back and have a great conversation. So let's dive a little bit into your story, and let's start with how old are you guys? What do you do for a living, and how long have you been together?
Okay, so I'm Tina, and I'm 46. Eric's 46 also. We're only a day apart.
No.
So that's good. What do we do for a living? I work in HR.
Okay.
And I work in the freight forwarding industry.
Wonderful. And how long have you guys been together?
10 years, married for 5.5, almost 6.
Yep.
And can you tell us the story of how you met?
Well, okay, so we met actually in high school because we went to the same high school. She dated all of my buddies.
Okay, that doesn't sound good when you say it like that. It's not like that.
And she never dated me. But then later on in life, you leave high school and you kind of go your separate way and whatever. And then Facebook happened, and we connected on Facebook, but
We did.
not in a way that I don't know how to get. Like, what would you say about like?
It was like a friend.
Yeah, just as a
Yeah.
friend. Like, that was it. And we were, like, just one day, we just kind of were, like, messaging back and forth. Just innocent, totally innocent. Apparently, I didn't pick up on the fact
Out of
that
the cues.
I needed to ask her out on a date.
No, he did not pick up on that for a long time. Until I told him.
Yes. And then, she's like, so, you ever going to ask me on a date? I'm like, oh. And I had just got out of dating a woman, so I'm like, sure, yeah, would you like to go on a date?
What was that like for you, Tina? Just you're kind of like, hey, is he going to ask me out or what?
It's frustrating.
How long did you feel that way?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, it felt like a long time at the time, but I don't think that it really was.
So you guys are in your mid-30s at this point.
Late 30s.
Yeah, late 30s.
Yeah, late 30s. I was divorced, and So I definitely try to, lead him to ask me out on a date. And I guess I could have just asked him, but I really wanted him to ask me.
What kind of cues did you give him?
I don't remember, but knowing me, they were probably pretty blunt. So
It's all documented on
is.
Messenger, and we can go
In
all the way
face-
back to it.
That's
it's all
fun.
there on Facebook Messenger. One day I did go back and I was reading a lot of them, but it was taking way too long, so I quit.
I've seen that where they will print those out and make a poster of some of those kind of conversations.
Because that's the only way we talked then. He only had access to a phone, like it was on Wi-Fi or something. So I couldn't talk to him that often. So it was all through Messenger on Facebook.
Did you have any inkling?
Not a clue. No, not even.
But you're in a relationship with someone else talking to Tina.
No. I had just gotten out of. I was like dated this girl for like 3 months, and then we'd broken up, and then she started messaging me, or I don't know who sent the first message. Again,
I don't know
but it
either.
is documented, so we can always go back. But so yeah, we just started kind of talking. I think about our kids and life and fishing. Of course, she doesn't fish, but she was showing me that she was interested in the fact that I fished, and I guess that might have been a cue.
That's a cue, yeah.
Well, I know that
thinking
now, but
that's a
then So
And how old were your kids at the time?
mine was 11. Yeah, 11.
So Ivy and Josh were 11, and
Yeah.
then Leah was 2.
Yeah. And I was very concerned because I had been dating. Now again, I've never been married at this point, so I was concerned about bringing a woman into my son's life, and so I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to kind of this is just us, and this is what we're gonna do. And eventually, she's just like, I don't know how long, like a couple of months maybe. And she's like, "You're going to meet my kids today." I'm like, okay. I wasn't ready, but okay, sure. So I met her girls, and then
Well, it wasn't a big formal thing. They were
No.
with my aunt. They were at my aunt's house with my mom, and I'm like, we're just going to stop by. So
Yeah, I was just how was that for you? In making that decision though, to have him meet your kids.
I was super excited about it, actually. I mean, I was super excited about him. And so I was happy for everybody to meet him. And then, of course, I loved my kids to death, too. And I thought they'd like him. So, and I'm very proud of them, of course.
is this where I pop my collar like I'm cool?
So when you guys went on your first official date, what'd you guys do? And how did your relationship progress from there?
Well, we went to Cabana Charlie's, which was right down the street from her apartment.
Which I planned carefully because
Yes.
I wanted to be close to home. I wanted to be able to walk. Because what if he was a little crazy? So, I mean, because that was just through Facebook that I've been talking to him. So that's why we went there.
And I picked her up. I had this old nasty Kia Rio.
It was pretty nasty.
And I picked her up in it, and I was embarrassed, but I was, what, just go with it. Just do this, and it's not that far. Just drive that way. That's all you got.
But he asked me to drive. I told him no.
Yes, I did. Because I was embarrassed about my car.
And I'm like, no, that's okay. It's fine.
So how long until you knew this was your person?
Okay, so shortly thereafter, I moved out of where I was living, and I moved in with my mother to help her. And I would drive from her house in Huntley all the way to Woodridge 3, 4, 5 times a week. And I remember driving back to my mom's, and of course, I would call her on my way there. We would talk and hang out the whole time we were there. And I would get in my car, leave her house, and then call her and talk to her on the way home.
Yep.
And it just now again, I drug my feet. She even had to tell me you're gonna kiss me.
I did. I told him to kiss me too.
Wow, I'm sensing a trend here.
Yes. So I was like super nervous, and I remember I was like driving down 83 in Elk Grove Village, and I was like, you know, I gotta tell you something, but I'm nervous. I'm scared. She's like, what? I'm like, I don't know if I should say it. And of course, you know, I won't go into like nonstop, like leading you guys in building this up even more.
Basically took all the way to Huntley.
Yes, and then I was like, I think I'm falling in love with you. And
What did I say?
she's like, you know, I don't remember what you said, but I kind of
don't
feel like
remember either.
eventually you were just like, yeah, I do too.
So that you did first.
I did.
He did do that first. Yeah.
Nice.
I was nervous, like I am now.
And what was it about each other that you fell in love with?
You first.
Okay, so I definitely like to sense of humor. And he was always then, he still is. He's fun. We have a lot of fun together. And he'd listen to me and let me do what I want. So if I have a stupid, crazy idea, which I do come up with a lot, he'd be like, I don't think we should do that. And I'd tell him all the reasons we should, and he'd just change his mind. So was a good selling point.
That's a good selling point.
For me, I guess she always kept me on my toes. The first thing she did, I pick her up
this
on the
is good.
first date. Never been in this building. Walking up, I see the door I got to go to. I'm walking to it, and she jumps out from across the hall, hiding behind some other wall, and she's like, "Hi!" And I'm like,
Scared the crap out of him.
Now I didn't. I'm trying to keep it clean, but yeah,
Playing a prank on him? That's
expletives.
hilarious.
I did. I jumped around the corner and scared him.
Yes, it scared me to death. And I'm like, oh,
Because you're all anxious and nervous and that's a great icebreaker.
oh.
It was perfect. But he talks about it all the time still.
Because we always talk about that, right? Do something new and surprising. Nice.
And ever since then, she's just kept me on my toes the whole time. But I remember sitting at my buddy's house and telling him, like, yeah, I've been talking to this girl, and she was married to my friend from high school for a really long time, and he's just like, dude, I wouldn't do that. And I'm like, no, there's something different, and like, I think it's okay, and like, I just, there's something about her, like, I just couldn't really put my finger on it, but it was like, people talk about like family values. I could tell that she had a sense of like a value of family.
I was a single mom.
But just the way that, through the conversations that we would have and stuff, it's just kind of what I picked up on it. And I was like, again,
So were you still friends with her ex at the time, or?
not like friends, like we had kept in contact, but like Facebook friends.
Yeah, they hadn't
Yes.
been friends since high school. And I know because I was married to my ex for 17 years, and he was not there. So
Got it. Okay.
they were literally just friends in some of high school.
Is he still in the picture?
Yeah.
Your ex?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
We
just
actually
saw him last
seen him
night.
last night at the hospital.
everything's good?
Yeah. Yeah, everything's fine. We spent last night in the ER with our 12-year-old, so.
Everything okay?
Oh, yeah, it's just a dislocated knee,
Oh,
Gymnastics.
Every day.
just some of that
Every
kid
day
stuff.
in the gymnast.
But yeah, me and him are cool. We
Yeah, I'll get along pretty well.
fist bump when we see each other. How you doing? Hey man, what's going on? Da-da-da-da.
What about in high school? Any feelings back there?
With me and her?
No.
No, not at all.
So-
Well, again, she dated all my friends.
Well, quit saying all. Who are all of these friends? I dated one and I married him for 17 years.
What thoughts did you have of each other in high school? Did you know each other really well? No.
No.
Okay.
Just of each other, really.
I remember
Cross
from,
paths a couple times.
yeah, like at a party or in the in the halls.
I
of
didn't
high
go to
school.
parties.
So when did she meet your son?
I had picked him up for a visitation, and I was heading back from Indiana, Northwest Indiana, and you guys were at Navy Pier.
Yep, we met at
with
Navy Pier.
girls. And I think more than likely I was talking to her while I was going to pick him up, and we wound up. She's like,
Yep.
"Why don't you just come meet us?" And I was like, I'd already met the girls, so I'm like, "All right, I think it's good."
Yeah, so we met at Bubba Gump's.
Bubba
right?
Gump's.
At Navy Pier.
All
That
right.
was the day that Leah ate the gum off the floor.
Oh.
At Navy Pier. She was 2 years old, and there was gum, and she just picked it up and threw it in her mouth. I almost died.
Hasn't she seen Elf?
I almost died. Ugh. But yeah,
Yeah. So
all the kids met each other then,
we
and
went there and we hung out. And
How was that for both of you?
the kids meeting, or
Yeah, just that whole night, the kids meeting. Did you guys have any, like worries at all? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't. Besides worrying about what Leah got from that gum, but it was. I was super excited about it. It was fun.
I read into a lot of things. So, I overthink everything. So that's, of course, I'm thinking, this woman and her kids are about to meet my son. And I'm going to be putting my son into this scenario that he doesn't really have control over because I'm dad. I'm telling him this is what's going to happen. Not to mention that my son and her oldest daughter, were the same age. So my thought is I catastrophize a lot. So I'm like, what if they like each other?
Because they were 11, 12 years old right then.
Yeah.
too.
So I'm like, that can't happen. Like, if we're dating, they can't date, especially if they're like kids. Fortunately, that never happened. But they were like,
They're two peas in a pod,
Two
actually.
peas in a
Yeah.
pod.
They're almost identical to each other. I can't believe they're not biologically related.
And how long did you guys date before you got engaged?
3 years?
I was going to say a little bit longer than that, maybe 4.5.
What were you guys thinking during that time? Did you want marriage? Were you wanting to take your time?
I was kind of wanting to take my time. I was married for a long time. I also was trying to figure out life. I was in school because I had a whole career change, an entire career change. So I was in school at DePaul working towards my degree. And I started a new job. I started a job after years of only working part-time. So I wasn't in a huge rush. We did live together. I was collecting alimony. So also not in a really big rush. But I was happy with him. I knew I wanted to be with him.
So how long were you guys dating before you lived together? And how'd you decide that?
It was about a year.
Yeah. And I got to the point, again, I moved in with my mom because she had some surgery, so I was helping her. And I was in her late 30s, and I love my mother with all of my heart. I do not want to live with my mother for an elongated period of time.
I think it was kind of my idea, though.
And I was looking for a place in the city, and she's like, well, hey, this, that, and the other, da-da-da-da. And we wound up, making the choice and decision to move in together.
It's kind of a money-motivated decision. Split some costs, save some things.
Yeah, now I think if you live with someone, the alimony stops.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Really?
it
It's
did.
at that point now, not if you
Well, it's
get
called
married.
maintenance now, right?
Yeah, now it's called maintenance. Those things change pretty rapidly.
Yeah. So how long had the kids known each other before you guys moved in together?
It was almost a year.
Yeah.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was a good 2 months after when we first started dating before they met.
Okay. So did you guys have any thoughts about creating this blended family and what that would be like?
I don't think we did.
No.
I know. I don't think we really were thinking it through like that. We were. The funny part is, we'll talk about him moving in. It was actually my ex's idea.
Is it? Wait, hold on a second.
Yeah, this is news to me too.
Your ex had the idea of him moving in with you.
Yeah, it was probably some stupid financial argument discussion with him. He's like, well, you and Eric are so close. You guys should just move in. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. So
This is what keeps me engaged because that's the toes that I'm talking about that she keeps me on. Like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I was really thinking about Jefferson Park, but yeah, Woodridge is right next to Downers Grove, and that's where I wanted to be, is Downers Grove. And
yeah,
For those out there, these are different suburbs.
Correct.
In
Correct, yeah.
Chicagoland area. You're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think that we probably didn't think things through nearly as much as we should have, and especially at our age, we should have known to think things through more. But no, we didn't do that.
So at this time, you have custody of your kids,
Oh yeah,
and they have visitation with their dad,
correct.
and your son is with his mom, and you have visitation.
Correct.
And then sometimes it's all, and then sometimes it's just your kids living in the
Actually-
house.
Yeah. So like every other weekend, I think it even worked out to where like when I had my son, she had
The girls on
the
that
girls on
weekend.
that
We did
weekend.
do that intentionally. We
So-
kind of.
I think that's kind of lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're going to be in a situation where you're co-parenting with someone who's your ex, it kind of makes good work-life balance, or not work-life, but like kid life balance.
It does.
Yeah.
And her
You get
ex,
adult time.
her ex, and I mean, granted, we were friends in high school. I've dealt with prior with dating and exes and stuff, and like he's a godsend when it comes to like he's not a jerk to me. He's not a jerk. Like in any way, shape, or form. He doesn't make rude comments. He doesn't try and be mean or anything like that.
No, he's
just,
not, and he's a good parent.
He is, and it's just really like it was just easy to kind of like, and so like now even because we've been together for so long, like he comes over, I'm like, hey bro, what's going on, man? It's like a buddy,
The girls have pictures. My Ivy, the oldest, like we'd all go to gymnastics meets of the youngest, and we all three of us would sit right next to each other. Leah's adopted, so we celebrate her gotcha day every year. All of us go together, her dad and then us. We all go together, and he has a girlfriend now. She's been around for a while, but she goes. So we always do everything together.
That's nice when it works like that.
Yeah. It does. And then you guys have the time. You had the time on the weekends for just the two of you, and then you had the whole blended family time.
Yeah,
You know,
and we always did a lot of fun things with him. We were always out and about doing things, whether it be hiking or museums or just,
road trip roulette.
yeah, that's a game I made up. That's a whole different story. But, yeah, we were always doing stuff.
Yeah, it's nice, and it can be like that. We've actually interviewed my ex-in-laws and ex-brother-in-law and his wife. So, and certainly there have been plenty of opportunity where Ray's family, my family, Alex's dad's family, it's all psh. But I think it's nice when it can happen like that as opposed to all that
I was going to
animosity.
say, it doesn't always happen like that,
Yeah.
right? But it is definitely a godsend when it does.
It is.
And it
really
takes
is.
effort for it to
Sure it
happen.
does.
How did you guys navigate parenting?
So we actually, with our oldest two, we have parented very differently.
Yeah.
Very differently. And then now we have a 12-year-old at home with us full time, and we're pretty much on the same page. And I'm not sure how that happened.
We probably used the other two as like guinea pigs to figure out like what do we do with this one.
I wonder who changed.
Yeah, right.
And they're different people with different needs.
Well,
Definitely.
I also thrust myself into this world of women
Yeah.
and girls. I hadn't really been a part of that, so now all of a sudden I have a teenage girl and I have a little baby girl and I have my beautiful wife. Well, now she's my wife, but that was totally new to me. I didn't know what to do. So,
And you're moving into their home.
And there was an adjustment period.
and there was, I had anger problems and stuff. So things would happen, and I would get angry and lash out by like hitting a wall or something, or yell and scream. And I wound up curbing that, but I know there was like a couple times like I had just lost my mind, and thank God they weren't around, because something stupid like a fishing pole got broken or
The fishing
whatever.
pole, yeah.
And I had a buddy that kind of like was like, dude, if you leave it out around a little kid, then expect it to be broken. If you don't want it to be broken, don't leave it out. And thank God for him, because he like he kind of turns a lot of switches in my head sometimes too. So he kind of like chilled me out that day and relaxed. And I was upset, but I got over it.
The fishing pole.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a story. I'll
It's
never
a
forget it.
Stupid fishing pole.
Do you have it framed on the wall? You
No,
should.
it's in the garbage. It's just a thing. And again, in hindsight, I can say this now, but then that was important to me. Now it's like, what's more important, this thing or the people that are with me? And I hold that like with the people that are my family, my children, my wife. They're at a very high level of importance in my life.
So how long did it take for that shift to happen? And maybe from your perspective. Yeah.
Years.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
For me, it was years.
Well, it was so gradual. But one thing about Eric is when he puts his mind to trying to make a change, he will make the change. Once he gets past the I'm trying stage and he's really going to, he does it. And he definitely made a commitment, made it very clear that he was going to change that. And he immediately took all the actions to change that. So,
Was it a problem for you? His anger.
oh, absolutely. It scared the crap out of me. And actually, my fear is what scared him to being like, whoa, this isn't right.
Yeah. Do you mind if I tell the story about that day that I just made that choice and decision?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I forget what we were arguing about, and that's not what's important. But my action, so I'm trying to like argue with her, fight with her. She's ignoring me. I want to get some sort. I just wanted her to like look at me. So I grabbed an empty laundry basket, and I just my intention was take the flat part of the bottom of it and just slap it against the wall. I wound up putting it through the wall and made this huge hole in the wall, and that scared her. And of course, that ensued like this very long conversation about what it is that I'm doing, and she can't do this. And so I don't know what it was, because like at that point when I saw her fear, I like just snapped out of whatever it is that was in my head, and was like very, very like concerned about what it is that I'd just done to her. And then she starts to explain to me, like what's going on with the kids, and when I do this, and how I am, and what she can't, she can't do this anymore. And so I like promised that I would go seek counseling. We did not meet then. But so I went and I like basically searched the internet to find, some place for anger management, and met a guy who taught me how to breathe and count to 10 and go on a walk and walk away, which was very hard for me to walk away from anything like that. I did it. And then I think I was also, I started to take Wellbutrin. And I didn't see any change in myself during that, but a lot of people around me did. The way he explained it to me was like it would help I would go from frustration to anger, rage. Sorry. So this way he explained it is would lengthen my fuse for that anger part. So I could be angry, just not rageful. And I don't know if that helped or
Seemed like it did.
it did, but I was also counting to 10. I was also breathing and walking.
Can you talk about, because human beings repeat behaviors at work.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were a small person, what was anger like for you? Was it a way to get needs met? Was it tolerated? Was there discipline around it? What was it like for you when you were a kid?
Depending on the time of life, depends on what that was. So there was a point in time when I lived with my mom and my stepdad. And then there was a time in my life where I lived with my real father. And as a young child, up to like 15, I lived with my mom and my stepdad from 5 to 15. I don't remember really being angry, like rageful. I mean, I also have a brother, so, we'd fight like brothers and stuff. And it wasn't rageful, though. It was just, like I was just like I just get angry for different reasons. Like, I don't want to eat my vegetables, or I don't want to do this, or...
And did it work?
No. My mom didn't really give in, and my stepdad kind of just steered me towards my mom. As a teenager, that's when, like, heads started to butt with my stepdad, as well as, when I lived with my real dad. That was a different scenario because I had some abuse that I dealt with from him, as well as like the atmosphere I was around wasn't like a family atmosphere. It was him and his buddies and their girlfriends, and I would just kind of like, I was like in the party scene. So I go to school Monday through Friday. Thursday night was bowling night, and so I would go to, instead of going home, I would go there, and the party would last from Thursday to Sunday. And you had all day Sunday to get out. So as far as anger goes, I never showed... I would be angry, but the way that I would talk about my anger would be with like my friends. I couldn't really show my anger to my dad, but when I did, it wasn't in a healthy way. It was a lot of like threatening to kill myself kind of thing.
So, I mean, that was a way to get his attention.
And it was far and few between that I would do that, but yeah, when that would do that, I would get his attention,
Right.
and then things would change. But
So you're never taught how to actually express emotions
correct,
and how to, gain attention in an appropriate way.
correct.
So was that the major obstacle when it came to co-parenting together?
Yeah, we just have. It was definitely a major obstacle, but we just have very different views. I was then, and I still am, more you learn from natural consequences. If a kid doesn't want to wear a coat, don't wear a coat. That's fine. Figure out how cold you are. And he's like, absolutely not. They will wear a coat. You're the parent. You make that happen. It's your job.
Dude, I kind of understood like do as I say, when I say it, how I say it.
And he said that too. And he said he also at the time, which he might even deny now, said that children should not need to listen. They need to listen. We don't. Gosh, what did you say?
It's my mindset at that moment in time was kind of like, again, do what I tell you to do, when I tell you to do it, how I tell you to do it. If you want to question me, I understand that. First, do this. after this is all done, at whatever that may be, whether it be going to the store or going to school or whatever, if you have a different idea, then you can discuss that with me. You can tell me your idea, and then I will consider it. And once I consider it, then I'll decide whether or not that will happen. So there, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm giving them an option, but inevitably I'm really not giving them the option. I'm making it seem like I'm giving it the option, but the decision will always be mine.
Uh-huh.
How'd that work?
Yeah.
Not so well.
Their kids are scared to death to this day of getting caught in an Eric lecture.
Yes.
An Eric lecture.
He will lecture.
Oh.
He will lecture them to death, and
I do know where that comes from.
I am not saying like a 10-minute sit down talk. Understand? I'm talking 3.5, 4 hours.
Wow.
Well, at the beginning.
That's like a talent, actually.
Well,
Yeah,
again,
talk to our 21-year-olds about that.
again, the stroll through the forest.
The stroll.
It's not so much a stroll after about an hour.
We were talking off air about how when Eric starts talking, it's like a stroll through the forest.
A meandering.
A meandering.
Back and
Meandering
forth and
through the
around.
forest, right.
And
After
how
a
did-
while, it's more like let's sprint. Let's get out of here.
So how'd you guys get engaged?
Pretty much the
Careful.
same way we started dating.
Oh. Did you put together a plan, like a 5-point plan for him? Like
No.
how to do this?
no, not at all, actually.
You've got to tell it. I mean, I could, but
It'll be shorter if I do.
No meandering here.
Well, the engagement night?
no, the whole decision.
Well, I don't really remember the whole decision, to be
All
honest.
right, I do. So it goes. like
Sorry.
this.
I tried.
Eric, are we ever going to get married? And of course, I'm like, drag my foot, like, yeah, sure, I guess, whenever. Well, when? Oh, I don't know. Like, well, how about this? Let's go get a ring.
Oh.
I
And-
did say that.
Wow.
And then you hold on to it, and then you ask me when you want to. So, like, okay.
I did do that.
So we went and we got a ring, and I held on to it. And maybe 7 or 8 months I held on to it and put it away. And I think a few times I had like pulled it out and like made this grand plan in my head. And when I went to go execute, I'm like, abort, no. Like, this is not the time.
Do you know why?
Why
Why you were like, no.
He said he was never going to get married.
yeah, I really wasn't wanting to get married because I'm already like almost 40 at this point. So I just didn't want to. I didn't really think.
Well, you didn't at 20 either, so it wasn't
Correct.
your age. So what was it about marriage?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, how much time do we have here?
Take the shortcut.
Yeah, right. A buddy of mine says if you can't say it in 3 sentences. I mean, there's a lot of it. Like, the experiences that I had, the examples, I should say, that I had with my parents, my real dad. He had gotten married again and gotten a divorce again. My mom and my stepdad, which is where the lecturing comes from, is my stepdad. Love you, David. I just didn't want to put myself into that kind of scenario to fail in that way. I don't, like, of course, again, being almost 40 years old and having girlfriends and living with girls or not living with girls and having long distance relationships or long relationships and inevitably they all kind of like fizzled out. And, again, I had a son with another woman.
Is that how you felt about that relationship, that you had failed
I'm not sure.
with your ex?
Josh's mom.
Yeah. There was some things I went through. That was kind of a devastating time for me because we were living like we were married. We had a boy together. So it was kind of hard to like put myself in that scenario again, even though we were already living together. But the ring on the finger is the whole, that's the commitment. That's the do all end all. That's just the way it's going to be in my head for the rest of my life.
Did you have any concerns getting married again, Tina?
Sometimes I did. Kind of like fleeting thoughts. But I always said that I would never be one to say I would never get married again or anything. It was really just take things as they come, open the window go through the window as it opens, and go like that. So overall, I didn't. I think sometimes though, like things might happen where you kind of get like this flashback of maybe where something could have gone wrong the first time, and it scares you a little bit. But
What feels different about being married versus living together?
For me, initially, I guess I didn't really feel a difference. I do now because I feel more connected with her. I feel more like I want to be more involved in her, not just in her life, but like just in her thoughts, and where I didn't really have that. Like when I lived with her, I was still working through things when we started to live together. So I wasn't even all the way, like, my mindset wasn't in that.
it wasn't.
So,
So it's more of the
she
us
says
versus the
facetiously.
I.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Took me a while to get there, but I did. And I don't know. I feel in myself, I feel like I'm more trying to be more present. Not great at it, but I'm trying to be more present with when she's around. Less in myself, less in my own head, which is hard because I spend a lot of time in my head.
In the forest in his head.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you guys just get a chance to stroll through. I live in this thing.
How about for you, Tina? What feels different?
When we were just living together, you didn't necessarily, it didn't feel like that level of commitment. And trying to think of the right way. It's like I can almost feel it, but not say it. I'm pretty quick if I get too frustrated or upset to be like, I don't need anybody. I can do this all on my own. And when we're just living together, that felt like a much easier thing to achieve.
So more of the I than the us.
Yeah.
So you guys are in the three-legged race.
Yeah, I'm good at it. We're good at it together. Yeah, but now, that was then, and now I don't feel that. Sometimes I do jump to be like, well, I don't need anybody because I'm Miss Independent. But I really don't have any plans of going anywhere.
All right, so how'd you ask her?
Oh, like an idiot.
Like an idiot.
Oh,
I took her to, I don't remember the restaurant.
it was the clubhouse in Oak Brook.
There you go. And she didn't know, of course. I'm
I
like,
kind of had a feeling.
yeah. So I had this ring in my pocket, and we went and we sat down, and I'm like nervous, like right before I go to do something crazy, I'm super nervous. And she goes to the bathroom, so I'm like,
And in the meantime, he tells the entire restaurant what he's doing. They all knew.
Mm-hmm. So
That doesn't seem like you.
No.
right. So then I wind up she comes back from the bathroom. I'm like, okay, so I need to go to the bathroom too. Not that I had to go to the bathroom. I just needed to get my head straight.
So then I sat at the table for 15 minutes by myself.
Because I'm in the bathroom, like looking at myself in the mirror, going, "All right, Eric, you're gonna do this. All you gotta do is you gotta do this."
You're giving yourself a pep talk.
Oh, totally, dude. In a public bathroom at a restaurant, guys coming in and out, looking at me like, "What does this dude do?"
And you told every single one of them.
Oh, I'm sure. If they didn't know when they came in, they knew by the time they left. Finally got enough courage. I remember walking up the stairs, trying to find the right pocket to put the ring in. Went up. It was the sweetest day.
It was.
I think I sat down for 3 seconds and then got back up and got on my knee right next to the thing. Of course, the first thing I hear is some lady behind me go, "Oh." And I'm like, I think I just blurted it, like, "Tino, will you marry me?" Which is not what I planned in the bathroom.
For 15 minutes.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And she's like, this big smile on her face. She said, "Yes. I still have the ring in the box in my hand." I'm like,
The box isn't
awesome.
even open.
No, not open. I'm like, she says yes. I'm like, oh. Like, so I get up and I sit down and she goes, "Are you going to put it on my finger?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, right. Shit, sorry." And, like, grab the ring. And I don't know if I did. I get back down on my knee again to do it? Or,
No, you didn't. You just
Okay.
kind of handed it across the.
Yeah, like I put it on her finger and that was it,
But everybody around us is now clapping at this point
Yes,
anyway.
yeah.
But so funny story. At the weekend intensive, he comes for the night of the dinner dance. He comes to the door, all nervous, just like that night. He's like sweating. He's like all nervous, and he's got the corsage in his hand, and he's like talking at 100 miles an hour, and I'm like, "Do I get that?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, this is just like when we got engaged." He goes, "I think I even am just as nervous." So
And you wore a dress that night that was at your wedding, not that you wore.
yeah, my aunt wore it to my wedding.
That's cool.
Wow.
So it was it was cool.
Can you guys talk about the weekend? What was it like to come on the weekend, and how did it impact your relationship?
Initially, she was excited. I was nervous.
What?
Wait.
Yeah,
That's-
right?
I hear a theme.
Again, that's
Yeah.
not like you.
But then on the way there,
No, not on the way there.
or when we did get there, or what, I was like cool with it. I was just like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be a weekend. I like it, And she's all like, "Oh, like very nervous." They're like roles totally opposite now.
It was the phone thing. Okay, so we get there and we check in, and I gave up 2 phones, and I was totally fine. Like I kind of expected it. Yeah, but then we had to leave and go into town to do some things because his dad had just passed, and that's when like the kind of the panic set in. It's where I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, we have no contact to the world. What is going to happen?"
I still have my phone.
It was all anxiety. It was, but it didn't.
So I was just
last
kind of like,
long.
"Oh yeah, whatever, like I'm cool."
As he's on his phone talking.
Oh,
Well, talking to the crematorium
okay. Yes.
to figure all that
And his brother.
stuff out, and I had my brother had to be a part of that conversation. So, yeah, when we got back and had to give up the phone, that was a little daunting, but at the same time, I just kind of knew like it's what we do, I get it. So shut it off. There you go.
Yes.
And then
I think it's really just not knowing what to expect right away.
Yeah. That's kind of the point.
Obviously. But
if in hindsight, if I could go back in time and say, "Eric, make sure you bring this," it would be a watch.
that's what really bothered me. I am such a time person.
I've been sent down those stairs probably 2 or 3 times a day to check that grandfather clock. to see-
We are already making some changes.
I am
Yes.
such a
But
time person
it was cool.
that
It
oh
was
Right.
totally cool. I'm not knocking you guys. It was really cool.
Well,
Was
how
there a
did-
point you forgot about time?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was definitely. Just the fact that
because we become so dependent on our phones to tell us the time and the weather and everything, right?
yeah, that was the biggest thing for me. I have a problem. I know that with time. I can't be late. I'm very concerned about what time it is all of the time. I need to be prepared. So I struggled with time.
So it's a delayed gratification. You just have to sit, and then it kind of releases.
Yeah, but the anxiety in me is just more like, am I going to be ready to have the time to sit?
Well, and for me,
Hurry up, get there, and wait.
yeah,
All the time. It's the story of my life.
I think prior to
I
the
spend
weekend,
more time in my car than...
prior to the weekend, I kind of, again, my father had passed just right before the weekend. So, like the first couple of days, I was just on my phone all day long talking to everybody. And I kind of was sick of my phone at that point. So when I gave it up, there was this bit of anxiety, kind of like, how am I going to do this? But I knew it was kind of like, this is what the weekend is about. It's not about the phone. It's about connecting with her. And so I just kind of, but then at the same time, I didn't, all the outside distractions, especially what had just happened, I just, and I had already let everybody know too, like, hey, come Thursday, I have no phone. You're not going to be, here's this number. Call me if my house is on fire,
Yeah, and I didn't do that. So that's another issue, is I didn't prepare because I don't know why.
It's a funny relationship we have.
And
with
you
things,
almost
isn't
didn't
it?
give up that second phone, too.
Well, no, I forgot about it. It was my work. It was my work phone. Like all of a sudden, it's just like, wait a minute, I have two.
But like, so was it Friday night when we went out and we had the option to take our phones, and we were like, nah, we'll just leave our phone. Like, why do we need? We didn't need it yesterday. We didn't need it all day today. Why do we need it now? We have a piece of paper to tell us where to go.
Even though we got lost.
We did get lost for 5 minutes until I got my bearings. I'm like, all right, which way? That way.
It,
All right.
it is kind of hard to navigate over there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We just made one wrong turn, but it led to some great conversation
Good.
and about how much you depend on your phones. And we were laughing at ourselves for getting lost down two streets that we had to go down.
Now, I mean, going into the weekend, you guys didn't have any major problems. You're not still throwing laundry baskets through the wall or any of that.
No.
So coming out of the weekend, what impact did it have on your relationship?
I think it had a huge impact, actually.
Yeah.
I definitely feel safe to say we, because of the way things have been. It was kind of on a whim that I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, there's always something to learn. We can always grow. And we took a lot of positive things out of it. We've started some areas that slack as you get comfortable. It was a reminder. And we started habits again that we used to do that were good. Perfect example is eating dinner together at the table.
Oh.
We had not sat at the table for so long to eat dinner together in a very long time. And we have done it every night since.
Wow.
Every night since we've been home.
And actually, when we first started to date, that was a big thing for her.
When we first dated, because
Oh.
I always
dinner
did it with
at
the kids.
table. And I love to watch movies. I love to watch TV. I love to just zone out. And I got her into that habit, and that's where we get our food, to the couch, to the TV.
So were the kids doing that too?
Mm-hmm.
They were eating in front of the TV?
Well, we only have Leah home with us now,
Right.
but yes, she was. I mean, she was at gymnastics 3 nights a week, which is even more excuse not to sit at the table.
Yeah.
But she at one point even commented that ever since Ivy went to college, we don't sit at the table anymore.
Yeah.
And then we implemented it again for like 3 days.
Yeah. And then
But
I was like, yeah.
since the intensive, we've done it every single night, all 3 of us. And I know she likes it, and I enjoy it very much, and it's good connection time. It was we got a lot of reminders out of the weekend, tools that we had that we weren't using necessarily all the time.
Yeah.
That dinner time, when I sit down, I'm so used to having my phone. Again, I feel like the phone is an anchor to us. So immediately I put it on the it's right next to my plate. But then it dawns on me, this is not where I'm not here for this phone. So I just toss it. I know I'm going to break it, and I know it's got an OtterBox on it, but I'm going to break it at some point because I just throw it off to the side. Because at that moment, it doesn't matter.
You're
You know.
kind of making yourself sound like a hero. That's not quite the way it goes.
Super Eric.
Where's your cape?
Yeah, right. But no, I mean, and that was actually, like I said, leaving that weekend, I did not want my phone. I hated it. I did not want to have it. I didn't turn it on until I'd gotten home. And when I did, it was just like, I was like angry. I was angry at the fact that I had my phone back. Actually, if you guys would have kept my phone, I probably would have been happier.
Not for that long.
Yeah, not for that long. But I got to the point where coming home, like I still wanted to kind of like have that connection with her that I had that weekend. And I do,
He did.
but there's so much more layered on top now because sorry about that. There's so much more layered on top now because of life.
Right.
I have a new job. I'm still dealing with my father's passing. My kid,
But-
in all these different directions. But I still just she's sleeping. I have to get up early before she even wakes up. I kiss her before I leave.
He does every day.
Every day I have to kiss her, say I love you. She doesn't even remember probably half of it, if not more.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
But come home, give her a hug and kiss. That's the first thing I need to do. Well, once I get past my dogs.
I say the dogs get kisses first.
It's kind of forced upon me, but after
There's
I get
been so many nights since the intensive that the TV doesn't go on, where it used to be on every single
Wow.
night. We turned it on once this week to catch up on shows because I think because we haven't watched them.
Yeah.
Like since the intensive, we've hardly had that TV on.
we had like 5 or 6 shows that because we stream everything. We had 5 or 6 shows that we haven't watched. I think we got through 2 of them. We're like, yeah, okay, we're done.
Yeah, we actually still have some there because I got tired of watching them. But
Yeah.
I remember watching a show called Brothers and Sisters. I don't know if you remember that show. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, I know more about this family
on your own.
than my own, and there's something wrong with that. And I think that was back when I was like, I think that's not how we're supposed to live. I think the real people in our lives, and we all do it because it's so much easier. Because when crap happens to them, it's funny. Mm-hmm. But when it's happening in your own life, you'd rather have the distraction from it. And we don't realize, you talk about those layers of what that's doing to especially our nervous system, and that anxiety and that constant, like, it literally is zapping us all the time. And then you get this nice break and you're like, oh, it feels good.
Every weekend right now for the past 2 weeks has been like that for me because I literally just started a new job. I'm commuting to downtown Chicago for the first time. So the anxiety of getting on a train during COVID, the end of COVID, let's hope and pray, cross our fingers. It's constant. I work on a 25th floor of some building. So
He's afraid of heights.
I'm afraid of heights, so I gotta go up here.
So he won't walk close to the window.
No, like 3 feet is as close as and then I get like weird feeling, and I gotta get away and like put my blinders on and just look at my computer and do my job. But like there's this tremendous amount of anxiety that I'm coming here. I had like all this anxiety, and
We're scary people.
right. I feel great now. It's the
fun.
build. Like I build up so much expectation, or I don't know if expectation is the right word. I
Anticipation.
so much. And again, I'm a catastrophizer, so there's always that, like, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen? And if that doesn't happen, then it's a good day, But yeah, that layering is really challenging. So when we have like a weekend, and you guys said something over the weekend where it's like when you have this skin on skin, or you breathe each other's breaths and you feel each other's hearts, and that's something like that I reach out for now for her in not a sexual way, just because I want to have, and I'd done it before, but just it wasn't.
You can be honest.
It
I
wasn't
struggle
the
with
same
the
way.
affection part. I'm
She
not
does.
good at it.
She does, but she gives in. Thank God. But I just grab her hand. I don't like pull her towards me. She's got to make that choice herself. But I like grab her hand. I think even today I went to do it, and she's like, "I'm just not ready for it now." I'm like, "Okay, bye."
I don't remember any of this.
I'm a very physical, touchy guy. So
I am not.
that is another thing that came away from this weekend. Sorry, am I talking too much?
No,
Never.
no.
I know this is a podcast. That's the point. But I was an avid smacker butt kind of guy.
Not once since we've been
No,
home.
I did.
Wow.
No, that's not true. I did
Oh, the
once.
very one time. You're right. That's it. And
I
he said, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that."
not just that. Like I'm a grabber. I'm a smacker. And it's all in affection. It's because I'm attracted to this gorgeous woman here. But it's the wrong thing to do. So we got home. I was just walking by her. It was totally mechanical. It wasn't even, and I smacked her butt. I took 2 steps and I stopped. I think I said, I was like, "Oh, sorry." And I took 2 steps and I stopped. I'm like, I turned around and looked at her. I'm like, "Tina." And she looked at me like with that look like, "Ugh." I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just did that.
Yep.
And I'm going to try hard not to do that again. And I haven't.
And he hasn't. No.
Fist bump.
And those are
proud of
hard
you.
things to talk about
Right.
because
And it's unique to each couple,
Yeah.
right? For some couples, maybe that's not, an issue between
they
the
might
two
need
of them.
more of that.
They might,
knows?
right? But for other couples, it may be.
But it's that communication.
But it's
piece.
communication, it's
Yeah.
connection, it's understanding each other's positions and the messages that you're communicating. That really makes all the difference.
So last question.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
What is it your partner does that you know they love you?
Say it again.
What is it that your partner does that you know she loves you?
For me, it's super easy. I mean, all she has to do is come up, put her arms around me, and kiss me. And
What about when I don't do that? Because I'm not always good at the affection
that's
part.
true.
How do you know I love you? Didn't mean to make it so complicated.
Well, I'm a guy, so it's like for me, I'm kind of. I guess it's easy to show love. At least, I shouldn't say just because I'm a guy. For me personally, I feel it's very easy for me to see that love in a physical way. Other ways, I guess maybe when I see her do things, try to change things now, especially after the weekend, because we see it a lot more in each other. That effort that's made to show, to make some sort of, and it's not a physical show. She's not quick to, walk away. She's not quick to take, like I can do this by myself, kind of a thing.
I can.
She'll rely. Oh yeah, absolutely, she can, and she will. But inevitably, I can see that she'll make an effort to be, I guess, present with me in it, in whatever it is that may be, whether it be the good stuff or the bad stuff. She's making, and not that she wasn't present before, she was. It's just there's less of a independence from her, where and not that I tried to overcome her independence. It's just a matter of she's like, instead of both of us going down the road by ourselves side by side, we're going down the road together with it. Communication. I was about to say something about that, where the communication, the way that you guys kind of taught us during that weekend. How do I feel? What do you feel?
We've been working hard at that.
Oh, super hard. And it is very, That is the hardest thing it's been for me to
Yes.
do. And I talk a lot, obviously. So you imagine like, oh yeah, Eric'd be a natural at that. No.
Lots of words, but not a lot of
Yes.
the depth. Yep.
Just so you know, the word you're searching for is interdependence.
Thank you.
Not independence, not dependence, but interdependence.
I didn't know that.
You're going to make me Google that later.
Yeah.
So I like the way I know he loves me. First of all, he tells me all the time. He's very vocal. He's very affectionate. And I'm not always. I'm vocal, but I'm not always affectionate. He's always willing to try something new, to learn. He's willing to grow all the time, and I know it's a struggle for him sometimes. And I'm patient. and he's, like I said, he's just always willing to do that. He's always willing to put in whatever it takes, and sometimes it takes a really long time to decide to do that, but once he does, he truly does it.
That's awesome. So before we sign off, guys, can you briefly tell us about your, what is it, the roulette driving thing that you guys do?
Road trip roulette.
Road
Okay.
trip roulette,
This
just
is-
as an idea for couples out there.
This is my game,
This
so
is an act of randomness. Totally
it is
random.
So I made it up
There's
about
no plan.
what? Oh, geez, 7 years ago.
Yeah,
It was
it's
way
like-
before we were married. I'm like, what are we gonna do? You know, you get so tired of sitting home.
No, she's bored out of her mind because I'm easily able to just sit there and be in nothing land.
But I can't. I need to do something. So I come home from work. I'm like, I've got a game. We're going to play this game. And it's grown as time's gone on. But he's like, what? And we didn't have the kids that weekend. So it was just the two of us. And I'm like, we're going to make these rules and we're just going to go on a road trip. Well, where are we going to go? I'm like, wherever the rules take us. So we wrote down rules. I wrote down rules on
Yeah.
paper.
I'm
that
confused
said,
at this point. Like, huh?
Yeah, that said, we rolled the dice. Drive 7 miles on the next road you come to. Turn
Well-
on the radio. If it's a female, you turn left.
If you get
Spin-
to
Go
if you
ahead.
get to a dead end, you roll the dice 1 through 6, turn left.
To see where you go.
7 through 12, turn right.
Stop at the next restaurant you see for dinner. And I just wrote out all these random rules.
Drive until you see a road that starts with S, which you would be amazed how long you drive until you find a road that
Find
begins with
the
the letter S.
closest
So you find
historical site, whatever. So I made all these rules. And he's reading these rules. He's like, "Are you crazy?"
How many rules are there?
Well, it changes. It depends on how long you want it to be. But that time, I probably had like a page, which wasn't.
25.
Yeah.
Last one was 40.
He thought I was crazy. He's like, "I'm not doing this." I'm like, "Yes, you are doing it. You have nothing better to do. We're going to
It's-
do this."
It's so fun. It's such a blast.
So we did it. And he's like, "I'm so glad you did this. You came up with it." So then we've made a thing of it now. We do road trip roulettes. We started including the kids. Everybody contributes to the rules beforehand. Sometimes they go really fast.
So you come up with these rules each time.
Yeah, totally
Oh,
new ones. So just
okay.
make them up, and other people contribute to them. And
I mean, we might go back to some of the other rules. And
Yeah, we repeat 'em.
because some of them are kind of redundant. Like,
Right.
like the dead end thing. That's always going to be a situation where you're going to run into. How many
But
times
we've-
have we driven in a circle for 30 minutes?
we have done that. We've gotten stuck in subdivisions and
subdivisions,
stuff.
and it's like all we know.
And then we want to break the
All
rule,
we
but
gotta
one of
do-
us will. There's always one of us who will not break the rule to get out of the subdivision.
We've done this in Michigan. We've done it in Western.
We've stopped at
Illinois.
hotels because we're out of time and we're not done with the game yet.
Yep.
So we have to stay at a hotel that's close.
We came across a Buddhist.
Temple. And
in
so
the
we stopped and they
middle
let
of
us
nowhere.
they let us go look around
Yeah.
and we met. There was go through a little town. We met some guy who collected all these really cool
Gas station pumps. And
gas
stuff.
station pumps and stuff. We been to carnivals and stuff
Mm-hmm.
in these little towns. It's
We
a
don't-
lot of fun. The kids asked for it. Leah asked for it. She's like, "Let's go do road trip roulette this weekend."
We met Stumpy.
Yeah, he's like he's a stump that this little town decorated.
And they
And it's like their mascot.
Yeah.
So we joined his Facebook page and everything, and it's great.
it's just this tree that's been cut down on the side of the road that they put eyes on, and they have like little logs called the stumpettes. It's but
fun.
like the things that we come across are just
We'll stop and like
Crazy.
hike through little parks and stuff, and
This is fantastic. I
so
love
much
this
fun.
idea.
Oh, no.
What? Oh, no, what?
You, Mr. Yelp.
Oh, no. I like this idea.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
absolutely. Right?
Because
I
like
mean,
sometimes I'm like, can we just drive around and just see what we see and then figure out where we're going? And you like to go on Yelp and find the reviews and
yeah, I do like doing that. Sometimes
and then if
when
it
we're looking
doesn't
for a
work out
restaurant.
so well because it's
Yeah,
random,
right.
you get a little frustrated.
Well, there's some rules here that you have to follow. I like this.
I like it a lot.
you
And
make
it
all
is-
the rules ahead of time.
before you even leave, you got these rules right now. Now, you do want to be a little smart because obviously we don't want to be wandering around like an area that we shouldn't be hanging out in.
Right,
You know,
sure.
and we're in Chicago, so
Right.
there's some of those areas that we don't want to go around in.
Right.
But you kind of like you see that coming beforehand, and you can be like, "Hey, why don't you roll the dice?" You know. But
But usually, I mean, we are pretty strict about following the rules.
yeah,
That's cool.
Just because that's the way it is. You got to be strict about it because
Yeah.
if not, it's not right.
we have yet to be pulled over and asked, "Where are you going? What are you doing?" Because
We don't know.
yeah, like
That's
how do you
because he
explain
always
this?
drives. If I was driving, we'd be pulled over.
Well, Eric and Tina, we want to thank you so much for being on our podcast today. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Super fun.
Yes.
You know, people have been sharing their stories since the beginning of time to bond and heal and grow. And we hope by you guys sharing your story, it's enriched your lives and the lives of our listeners.
We want to wholeheartedly thank you for tuning in and listening to Couple Synergy today. Our passion is in helping couples and people have happy and healthy relationships. And this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners. For all of you listening, please subscribe to our podcast and please leave us a review. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com. For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs such as Relationship 101, the Couples Weekend Intensive, our online membership called Connections, and our premier program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com.
And if you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please download it and share it. And thank you for listening.
And until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.